Hello, Live Run Balance family. Welcome to another episode of the Live Run Balance show. It kind of been a while, but still working some stuff out so I could bring out better, I know, better access, and just continue better service. And so, well, yes, I'm your host, Kenneth Pinkney, once again. So I'm gonna tell a story. I like to tell stories. Not telling stories, but telling stories. Yeah, sharing. About 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to attend and be a part of one of the biggest race event so far since I got to trail running on the Western State 100. Even though I did not race, but I was there as a fan, and just to be a part of the festivity of Western State weekend was truly special for me. I got the chance to meet so many great superstar usher endurance athletes for the first time and build a new relationship. So one of those people, superstar usher endurance athlete, is West State legend West State legend herself. Placed top 10 times, not mistaken, 3-time Western State champ, 2004, 6, and 7. Let me see. I can move down and read more of her bio. Yeah, gotta stuff gotta work on. Yes, and outside Western Day, she had breaking course record after course record. Member of the U.S. 100K team. Remember the gold medal 100K team at the World Cup 2000. First place Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc 2007. I believe that race is coming up. Well, by the time the video come out, the race probably happened already. I'm not mistaken. Maybe hopefully before then. U.S. national champion Snowshoe Racing. That interesting. And few of many running accomplishments throughout her amazing running career. So how she caught my attention before I met her in person, a documentary that featured her in the quest to become the fastest person in history to run America's oldest hiking trail, 273 miles long trail, and titled Finding Traction. She used her platform running to be vulnerable and open about her life living with depression. Live Run Balance family, let's welcome 3-time, not one but two, but 3-time Western State champ and FKT and Fast No Time champ, Miss Nikki Kimball to the show. How you doing, Nikki?
Thank you. Thanks, Kenneth.
Yes. Definitely is a pleasure to have you on. I just really
And it's
to
nice to see you again. It was great meeting you at the awards at Western.
definitely. Now, once I saw a glimpse of you before that for the award ceremony, and I was thinking, okay, what do I remember her from? What do I remember her from? And then like, yes, the documentary I came across, yeah. And so at that pitch, I had to say hello. Yeah. So
Did a really great job with that film.
it was beautiful. It just showing like just the emotions, the highs and lows and everything, that ultra trail runner go through, and so much more. Yeah. It was deep. It was deep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But before we get into all your running accolades, let's talk a little about your life growing up in Vermont. As you don't mind.
Yeah. Is there anything specific?
Just a little bit.
I mean, I grew up skiing, and cross country skiing, and as a kid, I just wanted to make a U.S. ski team. I mean, that's super competitive, and I wasn't a good runner. I was much better at like lifting weights and skiing than I was at running. So that was kind of interesting, and I grew up, running on the long trail, because that's what we did for ski training.
Yeah. Okay. So just like doing some research on you, you had to always have that competitive edge, even as a kid. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But too much so sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah. So who drove you to compete? You know, your family, you know,
Yeah,
man.
it actually my family tried to kind of not in a bad way, but they
Yeah.
tried to sort of temper my
Yeah.
competitiveness. Like,
Okay.
they did not push me at all. They were super supportive, but
Nice.
they didn't want me like getting, you know, they didn't want me pushing myself quite that hard
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to hurt myself, which is a hard thing to do when you have a kid who's just in love with endurance sports and
Yeah.
climbing trees and racing bikes and jumping off cliffs and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it, I think my parents, all of their gray hairs are my fault. I mean, I was a handful.
Yeah. So you kind of scare your parents a little bit, like, oh man, what is little Nikki doing now? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Um, and just doing it for so long, could you ever could imagine you be doing what you have been done over the past decades, you know, the accomplishment, everything? Could you ever imagine, you know?
Um, no, not at all. I could have, I could have imagined it being in cross country skiing or biathlon, which is
Yeah,
skiing and shooting.
yeah,
I absolutely imagined myself, you know, certainly one of the top, I certainly imagined
yeah,
myself to the
yeah,
Olympic team, which I
yeah,
never did,
yeah, yeah,
and be one of the top skiers in this country. I
yeah,
absolutely did that. And I was a driven kid academically,
yeah.
and,
Okay.
you know, I had my life planned out.
Yeah,
I'm going to like be super fast in high school. I'm going to
yeah,
get into a great college,
yeah,
and then I'm going to go to the Olympics, and then I'm going
yeah,
to go to med school. And like
yeah,
I had my whole life
yeah,
completely planned out. So I
yeah,
imagined that.
yeah,
It was kind of the joke that I was such a bad runner because I was so good at skiing.
yeah, yeah.
And my running form, I looked like I was cross country skiing. I didn't look like I was running.
That's funny.
And I'm a physical therapist. It was horrible form. And so, yeah, if somebody had said that, oh yeah, you're going to make a bunch of U.S. teams and you're going to
Yeah,
have, a whole bunch of U.S. Championship titles,
yeah,
I never would have believed them if they said it was in running.
yeah. Okay. Oh man, yeah. So that's something you didn't plan. Yeah, everything was planned out. So from being the runner that you are today, and there you have been in the past, uh, a couple of decades, and that wasn't part of your plan, huh? You know.
Nope, definitely
Uh,
not.
okay. So have or cross skiing, and I got it right. Have that help you out when it come to
Yeah,
running? Yeah. Okay. All right.
yeah. I mean, I think cross country skiing is much more of a strength sport
Yeah.
than running.
Okay. Okay.
And so, well, alpine skiing too, and I like that as well. But um, it's explosive,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have to have big upper body muscles.
Mm.
My body is absolutely my running body and my skiing body is just very different. I mean, you
Yeah.
can do well at both sports,
Yeah.
but skiing you just put on upper body mass that you don't need in running.
Okay.
But and I think that it probably I raced ultras very seriously for 20 years,
Yeah.
and I almost never I was almost never injured.
Okay. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
career-ending injury is actually a snowshoe race injury.
Um.
In 2000. Well, the injury was in 2016, and then
Okay.
the actual like complete ruptures of tendon and
Yeah.
ligament happened in 2018.
Mm.
So I was just spent my last 3 years of racing ultras in and out of a walking boot
Oh
with my
man.
yeah. But I think the reason I was able to do it
Yeah.
and go so long on injury
Yeah.
with this injury was that like my body was just strong from skiing and it wasn't
Yeah.
beat up from running when I was young.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, my first, I don't know, 16 years of my race career, with the exception of, injuries I'd get from skiing or
Mhm.
falling or that kind of thing, I just didn't get injured.
Oh no, that's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, we do running. You do get a great running career. Um, so what lead you to ultra endurance trail running?
Well, when I when I got sick, the first time I was actually diagnosed with depression. I mean, I think I've had it
Mm.
since puberty, but
Yeah.
I was training for biathlon, and I'd
Hmm.
been doing really well. I mean, I did well at Olympic trials, did well at national, and that
Hmm.
was my first real big year doing it. And
Yes.
then ended up getting sick and realizing, that was during a time where you couldn't stay on your parents' health insurance. And I was so sick, and I was just like, at 22 or whatever I was,
Yeah.
like realizing that I might be bankrupt by the time I'm 23 if I
Oh
don't,
man.
or 24 if I don't get health insurance. And the
Mm.
only way I could, one of the ways to get it was to go back to
Yeah.
school health insurance. And
Mm.
so I really wasn't thinking very clearly when I chose PT. It was just like, I can get a graduate degree, I
Yeah.
can, and I can be, and I can have health insurance. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that was the drive. It was,
Okay.
but my brain wasn't really working then either. And I'm really glad I went into PT. It's great career
Yeah.
and really good for running.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, it wasn't anything I intended.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason
And so
you,
yeah, I went to school in Philadelphia, and there's
yeah.
no skiing in Philadelphia, right? So I and I was so sick that I lost a ton of weight. I had no muscle
Mm.
anymore, but I could run, and I was
Yeah.
just doing these trail races on super technical trails because the East is just very technical,
Yeah.
and you know I'd earn a little bit of money
Oh.
and not much, but you win enough to
Yeah.
pay for the houses, to have a keg for a party or something. So yeah, so that, it was that kind of bad stuff that
Yeah.
running was born out of for me.
Man, so running was born out of because let me get it right. Because you need to find a way to pay for health insurance, some of that, and that right, it's the right. And so we went to a school that had like running,
Well, there wasn't running. It's just that, so running was really born out of depression and not
uh,
being able to pay for treatment.
and I paid for treatment.
And,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
and I mean, American health insurance isn't exactly equitable and fair. Um, so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I have enough privilege to,
Yeah.
know that I could get into graduate school and
Yeah. Yeah.
get healthcare that way.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and so I gave up. I was really looking towards the '98 Olympics in Nagano,
Okay.
and I realized that there was no way I could continue to train because if I got sick again, I
Mhm.
like I you know, we,
Yeah.
we weren't being paid anything at that time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to get sick again. I mean, I was
I
really,
know. I know.
it's
Yeah.
just devastating to, not only the person who has it, like, because they're really sad and they're in pain, but it's financially devastating and really hard on the friends and family of the person who is sick. And, you know, so, um, so I knew I had to take care of myself. I didn't know I, I had to give up sports, I thought.
Yeah.
And then in graduate school, I couldn't ski, and but I've always loved to run. And I would just
Yeah.
run and run and run and run, and then just, I'd start racing, and I was racing fast for the first time in my life. And
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as long as it's a technical trail, I can race fast.
Okay.
I'm not a great road runner, but um, I can cover technical and steep terrain
Yeah.
well.
Okay. So that when you were good at that was your calling to run technical trails. Yes. Uh that when it turned to like okay, I think I could be really good at this. Now I could make a career out of this, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I didn't think that I would necessarily, but
It just happened.
I didn't even know like it was possible to make a career out of it.
Yeah,
And
I know.
so, during school, I would run, I would, I'd win a bit of money here and there,
Yeah, yeah,
have like a store sponsoring me. But
yeah.
it was really when I graduated and then got a job and then, had enough money to like go to races,
Mhm.
that I started and then discovering, that I really like to run way farther than a marathon.
Yeah,
Um, that's, it just sort of fell into place and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The day and ever since then been a wrap. um, okay. To talk about, I really here to talk about. No, I was joking. When I first came across you in a documentary, Find Attraction, I was really intrigued by it. Like so many athletes that run long distance, you go to your ups, your downs, your hills, your valley. Maybe even want to quit at sometimes. How were you able to survive the 270-mile run FKT and overcome the obstacles that were before you?
I just I just love running that much. And, I was a good 6 years past my peak. I mean, I was 42.
Uh,
So I
wow.
knew, I couldn't run downhills the way I used to. And
Uh,
I knew I wasn't going in with my best body,
yeah.
but it's something that I've always wanted to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew that a bunch of men from the US ski team had done that like in the 80s.
Okay.
um, and that might have even been a rumor, but that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to do that someday. And so, you say that as a, you know, like eighth grade ski punk. And, and then at 42 years old, I decided to go for it. And I really
Yeah.
couldn't do it before that because I was, racing professionally
Hmm.
and,
Hmm.
like I wanted to use my speed in direct competition.
Hmm.
And so anyway, it was a bit slow, but it was so fun. And I had my
Yeah.
friends with me and
Yeah.
yeah, there were some bad times, but
Mhm.
um, I mean, would you rather be at work? you
Yeah.
know.
I know. I didn't be on the trail. It's kind of like your office. I would think about that a little bit this morning. I was running a few miles on the trails, my playground out here in San Diego, Chula Vista. And that's, but I do have my day job working in the office, which, hey, I like serving, like serving people. But also I would think about it. I was outside the trails, like, this is my office too, to be out, in the trails, to be outside. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. But
More
yeah.
fun. I do love my job. Like
Mm,
I love, I do physical therapy on runners,
yeah.
and then I
Nice.
coach runners.
Yeah.
And so like those two things that I do, I
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
and I've like basically my career now is all about running.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I'm finally making some money at it. So this is
Yeah.
my generation of female ultra runner.
Yeah.
We got, 10 to 20 cents on the dollar, to
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
So, I had to continue to work the whole time I was
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's so wonderful to be at Western States and realize that a bunch of the women, had spent like a month there.
Yeah.
And, so I know they're actually, we fought so hard
Yeah.
to just make any money at all.
Yeah.
And of my generation, I don't think any of us made anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was still working a professional job and
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to see that that's gotten a little bit better,
Yeah,
a
like,
lot better.
yeah, it's also good to see because we got some really, really great women out there who are really doing it up in the ultra trail running world. I mean, they kick your butt, some uh, like lead to my next question about one of them. Everybody know a lot of people consider the GOAT now. As you prepare for her, and that race coming up in the UTMB.
To be with Courtney, yeah.
Yeah, Courtney. Yeah, so I heard in the conversation, I read a conversation. Some people call ultra trail running a suffer fest. Majority of us, because we like suffer. Um, but you talk about pain, call it a pain, It's pain, not suffering. Even according to
Yeah.
Water, call it the pain cave. And then she may have make it the pain cave popular, making that term popular, and I know. So talk about a little bit how you deal with being in a pain cave instead of being a
Yeah, I guess
suffering
I don't
place.
see it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I have pain, but I've never ever suffered running
Okay.
ever.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, yes, I have physical pain, but
Yeah.
I think about that as just some neuron is going to my brain and telling me that there's pain.
Yeah.
But it's a privilege to be able to ultra run. I
Yeah.
mean, it's something that if I were poor, I couldn't do. If
Yeah.
I were a woman of my mother's generation, when women were physically taken off
Yeah.
horses,
Yeah.
suffering. If I were in the Ukraine right now, I would be suffering.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I don't see how running is suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
just is. You choose to do this,
Yes.
and the pain is just another sensation. I mean,
Mm.
it's and I can see the pain cave thing. I mean, there are times you're in pain for quite a while,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I suffered when I was depressed. That pain, like
Yeah.
that is,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
horrible. But
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing that some 100-mile race can throw at me. It's just pain.
Yeah.
You can.
Okay.
I mean, the pain is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It will. It will. Yeah. They definitely pain. Yeah.
Yeah, you can either let it drive you or you can let it scare you. And I think if you don't let it scare you, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
much more tolerable.
Yeah, definitely. You tend to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
I went to a couple time I'll be in pain, do some races. Yeah, I haven't done 100 miler yet, not yet, but it was the races, I put myself through the misery myself, this is how I decided to go out and do the races, but I keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember the pain that well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, why would a woman have more than one baby if you can remember how painful labor is?
Yeah,
I mean, if I, when I'm signing up for a race, could remember just the painful part of, my last race, I'd be like, why would I want to do that? But luckily, we don't remember those things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. And also getting back now to like, I forget to mention, and kudos to you for paving the way for other women, who not making more, money for extra endurance athlete, sponsorship, you kind of like maybe set the standard, on paved the way, Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
thanks. Yeah.
yeah, there are quite a few women look up to you. And before I continue on, I want to forget, Maggie, Maggie's trying to run. That's, you probably know, Maggie, I developed,
Of course.
yeah,
It's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I developed a pretty good relationship with her the past couple of years, especially since I started living on balance. I was like, I was seeking like partnership and sponsorship. Of course, she worked with Tailwind. And so I would look for guest co-host today. I asked her, of course, Maggie is under the weather, and so by the time the video come out, hopefully she's feeling better. And she wanted to be like a guest co-host, and she consider you the OG, you know. And let me look at my test. And I asked her if she had any questions she could have been on this interview, in this chat. What questions that she would have. So I'm trying to read it to you. Maybe one or two positive direction in the sports, and maybe one not so positive direction in the sport. You kind of did now. I got
She's asking you what is positive and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think women and all diversity in the sport that's happening is for positive, women being paid, because it's frankly offensive that what the sponsors paid us in the 2000 odds. It's just it's really hard. But so there's that, and I have to thank all of my foremothers. I mean, I have to thank Catherine Switzer for like standing up to a race director who's pulling her off the course, or
Yeah.
Wilma Rudolph, who
Yeah.
she had polio as a kid, and
Yeah.
then and she's both female and black. I mean, she had
Yeah.
just every
Yeah.
a disease
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
like marginalized groups and all that. Like
Hmm.
it's those women who set me where I am,
Yeah.
and then so anyway, just wanted to point that out. But
Yes.
and
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
so I'm really excited to see that each generation has a couple cogs towards more equity.
Mhm.
And I feel I'm happy that I was able to do that, to be
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
that place. And it was almost more fun to fight the inequity than it was to get the money I should have gotten.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's super positive. On the negative side, I and this might just be because I'm a curmudgeon Gen Xer, but is the social media has brought an element of self promotion that has absolutely not been in the culture of this sport,
Mm.
and it's brought out some kind of meanness
Mm.
that I never saw before that.
Mhm.
So but I think every area of our lives,
Mm.
social media has caused good and bad changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not unique to ultra running at all.
Okay.
But I am seeing, just some, it, like people getting sponsored, because they're influencers for some reason, especially if that reason isn't a very nice reason. Like
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
an influencer because they survived cancer,
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
an influencer because they're willing to, talk trash, not so great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I know.
so I guess that's the thing that
Yeah. It get numbers, get
that I don't like.
ratings. Yeah. 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 About how much like follower could you get? Yeah. Now, no matter, no, no, if it's bad or not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think ultra running culture, particularly in the 100 miles,
Yeah.
you can't fake that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I go to Western States years after the last time I've run it, and
Yeah.
see my old family of
Yeah.
runners from the 90s, 2000
Nice.
odds.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
that culture, the goodness of the culture is still definitely
Yeah.
more noticeable than some of the negatives.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely enjoy my time there. Just for the first time, the interaction, with the people, the community. One of my greatest moment be at the finish, but outside the track, in the neighbor, I like talking with the neighbors. I was hanging out with the neighbors. And tell me to take a seat, sit down. As we're waiting for the first few runners to come in. Yeah, yeah. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment, just hanging out, chatting with the neighbors,
Absolutely.
and
I mean,
the
just the whole
volunteers.
community is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, and then talk to the volunteers, So yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, 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 definitely. So go a little bit more deeper, a little more. We're getting there. So you've been open about your struggles, and it's hard to be vulnerable. I realize that. I just released my book, to be vulnerable by your life, by your ups and downs in life. So what do you want people to know or learn about your life living with depression?
Well, I think we're in a much, much better place than we were
Yeah.
in the 90s and the
Yeah.
2000s, when I had to hide
Yeah.
that part of me. I had
Yeah.
to, it was the only thing I ever lied about, like on
Yeah.
health history. If you have mental illness, like
Yeah.
in the 90s, and even when I started being public about it in 2004 and 2007, the stigma was horrible.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still there. And I guess the thing is that, even at a time when I came out and the stigma was worse,
Yeah.
nobody ever came up to me and gave me any flack about it. Like
Okay.
every response that I knew about was positive. And
Okay.
so I think, being one's authentic self, warts and all,
Yeah.
is people appreciate that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, because it's bad enough to have a mental illness, but to have a mental illness and then try to hide it,
Oh.
like messed up.
Yeah. I
And
know. I
so
know.
I just, I want people who are suffering with mental illness to
Yeah.
know that they can open up about it.
Yeah.
And I think at this point in time and in our country,
Mm,
it may be different in different places,
mm.
but I think right now it's generally something you can do that actually makes everything better.
Yeah. 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 But there definitely is a report overall about it. Back in the days, maybe I grew up in the 80s, wherever, and come where I come from, you don't talk about mental illness, wherever, or just or being vulnerable, yeah. Yeah, particularly as a man, a black man at
Especially as
that.
a man, I think it's much, much harder for men.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
definitely. No. Yeah, because we told to be that gotta be strong, gotta,
yeah,
yeah, no,
you can't have
yeah,
emotions and you can't cry and you can't,
yeah, yeah,
you've got to be
yeah,
manly all the time. And
yeah, yeah,
you're not encouraged to talk to other men about
yeah,
feelings, and
yeah,
feelings aren't something that just happens to women.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
and I think it's been a big disservice to men
mm,
that that our society has been so much more negative to men than to women
yeah,
who suffer from mental illness.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was really, I was teammates with Rob Krar when he started being open about his depression.
mm,
And I was just so happy to see him kind of
yeah,
break that barrier, because
yeah,
not very many, men in our sport had,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I was able to do it a little earlier
mm, mm,
because I have a little bit of permission to do it because I'm female.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah. Definitely, so it's still more, I guess, a little more work to do, but you see James getting better a little bit by a little bit, Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
do. And I hope, I know it's always two steps forward, one step back, but
Mm,
I hope it's that way,
mm,
that it's it's that way in many areas of life. I mean, I
yeah,
feel like
yeah,
ultra running is a good sort of metaphor for life.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and I just think, you know, I don't want to go back and live 100 years ago. I mean, there's some.
Yeah, I
I
know.
do think we humans in general, there have been exceptions, and particularly of late.
Yeah,
But I think we are making progress in
yeah,
understanding that
yeah,
we're all just people and we're all doing the best we can. And
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
you know, for the most part, changes in society have been positive.
yeah, yeah. Definitely have. I hope we continue just to be positive, be a shining light, Now, hopefully, I can use this platform that I've been given, to be a light, and news running
Exactly.
news as a platform, to be a light, in this world, and then kinds of crazy, some simple as running, allow me to do this, do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yes, but during our dark time, we definitely need a best friend. Rather like, and doing your like 100-mile race, you need some people or outside, running. You need a best friend, I go to pray to help you, to help us in life, to talk, So you talk about your bestie. I think that's saying it
Yeah.
right. Or your BFF, is that your BFF?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. It depends on
Yeah,
what generation you are, right? I mean,
yeah.
we all have our, I guess for our Gen Xers, probably best friends, I
Yeah,
think.
best friend. Yeah. Best friend for life. I
Yep.
don't know. Yeah. So I know you got some close friends. No, and then I believe your documentary talk about Andrea, if I say her name right.
Yep.
And so tell the Lebron Ballin family about having Andrea in your life.
Well, I mean, super important for me and super important for me growing up. I mean, growing up, this was fifth and sixth grade. I had no friends who were girls because I just did sports. You know, I played on a boys soccer team, and you know, and I had my hair super short, and you know, at school everybody knew I was female, but anywhere else I would try to pass as male, and so, you know, and there, you know, we couldn't really be trans at that time, and we just wasn't a common thing. It was definitely there, but it wasn't, you know, I didn't know it was an option. And so anyway, my friend Andrea, really similar, does sports, plays on a boys soccer team, and our parents taught together at the school I went to, and our moms were talking and being like, "Yeah, my daughter she doesn't have any friends who are girls. Oh, mine neither. And let's just do sports too." And so they basically, you know, arranged a play date for us, and we, you know, neither of us wanted to meet the other because, like, I don't like girls, and like Andrea came to my house, and I was like, you know, the first time we met, and want to build a fort? Yeah, let's build a fort, and like, you know, we built a tree fort, and just have been close ever since. I mean, you know, she was a better runner, I was a better skier. We were both super competitive. You know, I think we could just help each other so much because you know, we both get super upset with bad races, and you know, and we both, you know, be upset if we weren't allowed to play on the boys team. Like, we were really able to help each other with that, and and now, and we live 40 minutes away from each other, and still, you know, hike and ski and do all those things together. And she was great to have on that Vermont expedition. And she's family doc, and so, and to cook, like, we both cooked together at a lot of places. So she was it's perfect to have, and having her and her brother, who's also, like, I kind of think is my brother, you know, on that trip was just really
I can imagine. That's a beautiful story. I like that, you know. Felt like y'all were meant to be together, you know. It was meant to happen, you know. So definitely. So really, we have fine friends like that, you know. You got they are, you know, but just the bond I had, you know, seeing with little girls up to now. That's that's a beautiful thing.
You know, I mean, I think it's really special, especially in a society where we tend to move around a lot. You know, I think that sometimes makes lifetime friendships a little tougher to have. But they're really important. There's something really deep there.
Definitely. You know, I got some lifelong friends. We met when was 18, you know, we still friends now, like brothers, you know. We kind of lost track of one another, but how we find each other again on a comedy in a movie, you know,
absolutely.
It's more crazy with how we saw each other again, you know, after a few years being apart, not seeing each other, you know, being in contact with one another, you know. But
it's an amazing thing.
I could tell you, we met each other once again in the middle of Kuwait, you know, but he wasn't out in the military, but I was. So that's like that crazy.
And I think, you know, meeting each other in a really stressful situation.
You're
going to be there for each other, you know. You're just
but definitely no. We met, but we were doing two separate jobs, two separate, you know, stuff, you know. So but how we able to run to one another, you know, and the few years like that was crazy, you know. But it's cool. But they're definitely a great friend, you know, and it's good to have a bestie like you do, you know, who's there for you and you're there for her. And so, you set a lot of records after records, you know, awards, accomplishment, you know. But what have brought you the greatest joy? I know that's a big in your career and life so far, you know.
really, it's the work I've done around depression.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Okay.
that's the only thing I see, that and maybe work around gender equity in sports, but
Okay.
particularly depression is more important
Uh,
because it affects all people.
yeah.
But the work I've done in that and using my platform
Yeah.
for that, um, that's the only thing I've done in my life that touched a lot of people and that
Yeah.
um, I'm really proud of. It's that's really it. I mean,
Yeah.
I've won races and I've
Yeah. Yes, you have.
been good in multiple sports and
Yes, you
I've
have.
and kind of it's certainly been one cog in the gender equity progression, which I'm glad of that. But depression is so personal to me, and there are lots of strong women out there who can
Yeah.
carry the torch for women athletes.
Okay.
But depression,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
watching friends in the you know like in the early 90s be
Mm,
diagnosed. One of my best friends,
mm, mm,
how much like people just ridiculed her. And I mean, here's
mm,
this president of Phi Beta Kappa Honor
mm,
Society,
mm,
like brilliant woman, and you know,
mm.
I just and people didn't have grace for
Mm.
what she was going through,
Yeah.
and I never want anyone to ever have to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, bad enough to be sick. You
Yeah.
don't need to be made fun of because you're sick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's really that's the important thing. Like if there's
yeah.
one important thing, it's that.
Yeah. 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 Just yeah. Just knew your platform to just serve, and knew that something like you told me something personal that happened to you turn into a passion and purpose, of really serving and giving back, serving others. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, so what is next for you? Are you going to race any more major races again, or just right now that's a wrap for you?
I am incredibly lucky to be able to run because my career-ending injury, it took me over 4 years to be able to run more than a marathon. I mean, I had experimental surgery on my leg, and
Uh,
um, and now I'm so excited that I can run, and I'm actually going to be running the I Am Tough 100 in September.
okay.
But I'm doing it because I love running. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it, I'm not fast,
Yeah.
uh, and but I love it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I'm just happy to be back in
Yeah.
that capacity. But in the time in between, I took over medical directing of a local trail race here with
Yeah.
my friend Andrea, actually, in 2019, because
Right.
we had seen some bad stuff happen that we're like,
Mm.
that shouldn't happen.
Okay.
We're going to write protocols for safety. And
Yeah.
so the two of us together took over that. And then I'm medical director for the Crazy Mountain 100, which is
Oh wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Crazy Mountain. It's just 2 years old now. And so I could still be in the sport
Yes.
and still be in the community. But when I couldn't run, it was that.
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
that's
just
right.
find the physical therapy elements and the medical elements and the like all that stuff surrounding
Yeah.
our sport. I find that super interesting. And
Yes.
Western States has a fabulous yearly medical conference for ultra running.
Oh, nice.
So sort of continuing with that is part of what's next. And then I'm just
Yeah.
super stoked I can run. I mean, I'm out there,
Yeah.
feeling the love, and
Yeah.
especially after having that taken from me for quite a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
A lot.
Yeah. And so you're able to find a way to still be involved out being like trying to compete where we do find a way doing it for the love, you're doing a way you're able to like serve others in the running community and you're still involved, that it was pretty cool,
It
No.
is really cool. I mean, it made 5 years of rehab tolerable. Because I'm
No.
still out with this amazing community and still doing stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, I'm just a little bit in a different position.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
yeah, and it's great.
Yeah.
I'm always learning,
Yeah.
as a physical therapist, and
Yeah.
with the doctors and paramedics that we get
Yeah.
for the medical, like we all are teaching each other our skill set.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I mean, what's life if not something, you just get a chance to learn and
Yeah.
experience stuff.
Yeah. 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 That's cool. I like that. I like what you're doing. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what is your boundless motivation and thoughts in a few words?
The boundless motivation. It's just the joy of running.
The joy.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. Running is all things good to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Running is a treatment for depression.
Yeah.
Running is going to gorgeous places. Running is getting people to care about trails.
Yeah.
And it's about community. And so
Yeah.
it's just running. I mean, it
Yeah.
comes down to that.
Yeah. Definitely. What a beautiful thing it is.
It really is.
I really like. Yeah.
So lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'm grateful to do it. Whether 5 miles, whether 55 miles or 100 miles, whatever. Yeah. And just the gratitude, we're able to get up early morning while it's still dark.
Yeah.
Get out to hit the trails. And just watch the sun peek out behind the hills, mountains. Yeah.
We are so lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people get that experience to just see sunrise and to experience nature and seasons, well, especially here where we have dramatically different seasons.
Yeah.
I'll do like my morning run that I do before work.
Mhm.
To see it in every different season, and
Yeah.
to do it when it's super hot and I can't wait for winter, and when it's 40 below and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for summer. I don't know. I think we get a depth of experience that that's hard to get otherwise.
Yeah. So definitely, I'm grateful they would able to do it. Grateful that I kind of fall in love with it, fall into it. Should be out here in San Diego. We got a lot, Southern California. We got lots of trails and stuff like that. The community. So yeah, definitely been special. Out of gratitude, they're just able to be part of it, able to do it. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, we are so lucky.
Yeah, definitely.
Lucky to have found this community and to do this beautiful, beautiful sport.
Yeah. And just the joy and gratitude, Oh yeah, just it's my go-to place when I want to get away. Sometimes just not even just to run, but just to be out there to think, to reflect, Yeah. And yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. It's cool. It's a great way to end it. Yes, thank you. Thank you again for willing to allow me to chat with you.
Well, Kenneth, it's been fun. I very much enjoyed meeting you.
Yeah.
At Western States, where my runner was kind of passed out in the chair, and when we were talking, she ran great, and it was just it was just like it always is. Wonderful to meet another person in this community.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I hope I get the chance to do that again, experience that energy again, rather Western State again, or some other races, So now my goal, my desire to want to do it more often, and just really go out to different running communities, specific trail running community, events, so and meet more wonderful people, Yeah, so yeah, definitely, and build a relationship. Yeah, so
yeah.
And so hopefully our path will cross again. Yeah, in person.
I hope so too. I'll let you know if I I've always been a fan of Scotty Mills, and I know he's not the race director for San Diego 100, but I may be in your sort of neck of the woods that I do want to do that race at some point, assuming my body holds up. So I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's got to be. He probably not as a race director, but he still be out there supporting. At the race. He was there the last time. Yeah, he's there always supporting, volunteer, give his time. Yeah. So definitely. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And you should let me know if you come up here and run any of our school races, because we've got some great trails.
Yeah, I got to check it out.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, definitely. So I hope I can do it. I will do it. I won't say it like that. It will happen.
Sure, that's better. Much better.
It will happen. Yeah. So thank you, Nikki, for joining me again on the Live Run Balance show. But before we end it, is one thing you want to leave, want to say, the people who will be watching this,
Okay. Just love running.
Love running.
I mean,
hey, there we go.
Just enjoy every step.
Enjoy every step. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. But thank you for that. Do it for the joy. You do it for many different reasons. You do it to compete. You could be competitive, but mostly you do it for the joy. When you do that joy, and making it a little bit harder, I want to compete, but to have a joy doing it, have a smile doing it, and I want that taken away from Western State where I saw Courtney, where I saw the first 4 miles or 5 miles, or the last, mile, I see that smile. I got a close-up view of her coming to the track. I was yelling and screaming, and I see that smile on her face, Yeah, she do. Yeah, she the talk, what you do right now, but I know she enjoy doing it also. Yeah, so
absolutely.
Yeah, so you can be the best.
An absolute wonderful addition to our community, like almost everybody in the sport is. I mean, Maggie,
Maggie,
I mean, you just keep naming people who are just wonderful humans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So shout out to Maggie. Yes.
Yeah. And Courtney.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a guy Courtney on here yet, but no, I will eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
Yeah. So good luck with it. Keep going. Keep being boundless.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, I will. And thank you, Live Run Balance family, for joining me for that episode of Live Run Balance Show. Live a life beyond the boundary you set on yourself. And Ms. Nikki, she have not let her circumstances dictate what is possible. Whether it's just living with depression, dealing with it, going through it. But she'll find a way to take something that seem bad, but turn it something in a way of serving others, and use her platform to be a light and be a help to others. And that live a light beyond the boundary you set on yourself. So thank you for setting that example. And until next time, family.
Thank you so much. This has been great, Kenneth.
Yes, definitely. And then